Iowa caucuses back in 2008, the first nominating contest of the presidential season, before succumbing to eventual Republican nominee Mitt Romney. Now Governor Mike Huckabee is back for another White House run. The current president's proposed Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, along with his attempt to acquire fast-track authority, has aligned the far-left wing of the Democratic Party with some prominent Republicans. Governor Huckabee tops that list. Governor, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Delighted to be here, Maria. Thank you.
What is your main reason for your opposing the TPP?
Because the last time we trusted President Obama with a secret deal that nobody really read until it passed, it was called Obamacare, and it's turned out to be a disaster. I don't know why we would trust President Obama to sell us a second-hand Subaru, much less put the details of a secret trade agreement in such a way that Americans are just supposed to trust him, give him authority. What little we do know about it, and I know some of it because Jeff Sessions, the senator from Alabama, who is also a staunch opponent, has done something that most of the Republican advocates for this bill haven't done. He actually went to the little secret room and he read the darn thing. And he has real concerns, as do I.
Well, what are the concerns after reading it? I mean, you are, aligning yourself with Elizabeth Warren on this issue.
Well, I would also like to say I'm aligning myself with Phyllis Schlafly, and I don't think anybody says that she's anything other than as conservative as conservatives get. This is not aligning myself with the left or right. This is aligning myself with American jobs. The fact that we have been engaged in a number of trade deals since 1990 that has resulted in an $11 trillion trade imbalance. Trade is a great thing, Maria. I'm all for it. But not if we don't enforce both sides of the trade agreement, which we haven't done with our previous trade agreements. And the result is a lot of American workers, 5 million, have lost manufacturing jobs just since the year 2000. 60,000 manufacturing plants in this country have shut their doors, moved elsewhere. Why? Because we don't enforce the trade deals. We get them, but we don't make the other partner pony up and play both sides of this. And we can't have a free trade if it isn't fair. It hasn't been.
Well, where is the transparency, though? I mean, does the president need to come out and explain exactly the points of this Trans-Pacific Partnership? The unions are obviously where you are, saying that this deal is going to take jobs. Can you tell us specifically where those jobs will be taken and how? And also, will we get some transparency ever on this trade deal?
Well, if we don't get transparency, we ought to say no. America is not North Korea. We don't do things in the dark. Now, I know people say, well, that would jeopardize the deal. Then so what? If it's a great deal, tell me about it. Show me. If you can't show me, if you can't tell me, then leave it on the table, because this government, the United States government, is not supposed to operate in a trade agreement that's so secret that you have to go behind a locked door, and only if you are a member of Congress. And then I want to point out again, most members of Congress who are pushing it haven't read it.
Yeah, I want to ask you.
What does that tell us? The ones who have, by the way, are against it.
A couple of things, Governor, because you've also said that the hack on China is also fixable. We're going to talk about that. But also yesterday, Alan Simpson was on Cavuto, Coast to Coast, and he called you out and basically called you out for not cutting entitlements. He said, what Huckabee is saying, that's absurd. He's not an absurd guy. He's a sharp cookie, but his ideas are absurd. That's what's wrong with the country today. You don't say this guy's ideas are nuts. You attack them personally. I'm not attacking him personally, he says, but what he's saying is Zooland. That's from Alan Simpson yesterday.
I love Alan Simpson, and one of the reasons I love him is because he's plain spoken. And he's half right. I am a smart cookie. He's half wrong when he says that my ideas are all wet. Here's the problem. It's not the American worker who has paid in. Like in many cases, people who went to work like I did when they're 14 years old will pay in for 51 years to Social Security and Medicare. They didn't do it voluntarily. It wasn't like they said, this is I'd like to participate. The government took it out of their paycheck. Now, when they're getting close to that time, when they're going to finally realize the promise, keep in mind the promise the government made to them 51 years ago, the government says, oh, now you're going to have to work an extra 10 years. Now we're going to means test your Social Security.
Right.
One of the differences that I have, I don't consider this an entitlement so much as it is an earned benefit that people have paid for.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you about your platform, Governor, because entitlements is obviously one of the big issues of this country that the country faces. What are you running on? What is your main platform? And do you worry that there are just too many contenders on the GOP side, and we will see what happened the last time around this happened, whereas the contenders just trip over themselves and in the end lose the election?
I very much worry there's too many. That's why I have a solution for that. I've suggested that all of the others drop out and endorse me and put me on the way to Hillary.
Why? What is your platform? Why would they?
Well, I think people need to recognize we need to put American jobs, American workers first. We haven't been doing that. I'm not for protectionism, but I am for Americanism. If we're going to have a trade agreement, enforce the trade agreement on both sides of the deal. Change the tax structure. I'm a fair tax guy. We ought to be taxing consumption. We shouldn't be taxing people's productivity, their work, their savings, capital gains, dividends. It's a totally disastrous way to approach the economy. And, Maria, that's one of the reasons we've lost so many jobs, is because the jobs are going where they can actually focus on the business rather than focus on a tax policy.
All right, Governor, let me ask you about China. You said this week the U.S. should launch a cyber attack campaign against China. It was revealed that suspected Chinese hackers had got the information of former workers. You say that's how we fight back?
Well, what we've done is we're so afraid to offend China. That's why we don't push the trade deals. That's why we're not pushing this hacking situation with over 4 million federal workers. And what I suggested is, look, if they're going to hack us, hack them. You know, expose some of their Communist Party top officials in the corruption. If you're going to play in a fiery game, fight fire with fire. We're so afraid that if we do something, China might not continue to buy our products and manufacture stuff for us. I think we need to recognize China is not our best pal. They're making money off us. We're making money off them. But when I go to China, I still see a very closed society. I try to Google something in China. I can't find it because their government shuts down free speech. They still abuse human rights and abuse workers. And we just go ahead and let that go because we're making a buck off of them. I think that's a moral situation as well as a monetary one.
So you want to be tougher on China. What about foreign policy? What's your answer there to the Iran talks and to ISIS, et cetera?
Well, the Iran talks should never have started until they gave up any hope whatsoever of having nuclear capacity. We need to be standing with Israel, not Iran. We've done something that doesn't make any sense. We've pushed the Israelis into a new alliance. I guess maybe this is the positive with the Egyptians, Jordanians, the Kuwaitis, the Saudis. They're now closer, the Israelis are, to them than they are to us, and that's crazy. We cannot trust the terrorist sponsor of Iran to do anything right, and we lifted sanctions. We should have been clamping down on the sanctions. We need to be going after ISIS aggressively, sending the Warthog, the A-10s, busting every truck they move, keep their supply lines from being able to rearm their soldiers, and instead be arming the Kurds, the Peshmerga up in the Kurdish area, and let them fight for themselves.
So are you in favor of the story of the morning, which is that the president wants to send more troops to Iraq, 400 to 500 new advisors? Are you in favor of that, Governor?
Well, I don't oppose that, but I think that 400 to 500 advisors may not be enough. We need to be more aggressive, not only in our airstrikes and campaign, but I don't rule anything out, and I think most importantly, building a coalition of Middle Eastern nations whose neighborhood is on fire and asking them to grab the water hose. We're not going to do it for them, but we will do it with them. That's a different approach than this administration has taken.
Understood. Governor, good to have you on the program. We'll be watching. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.